My name is Erin Spradlin, and this video is going to cover how to utilize Furnished Finder best for your medium-term rental. So it's going to be a three-part series. The first is going to be how to look at your listing and make sure that all the details are correct. The second is going to be a review of my listing so that you can see kind of the tips and tricks that I have in there. And then the third is going to be accessing hidden resources within Furnished Finder, because Furnished Finder does have some good resources, but they're not that apparent when you're on the front page. So really this is just going to be an overview to get the best use out of Furnished Finder that you can. Before I get started, my name again is Erin Spradlin. I am out of Denver and Colorado Springs. That is where I do real estate work, but I service in a consulting capacity to investors throughout the United States, usually in the midterm and short-term space. A lot of my clients will come in and ask which format is best for their property. I also look at listings, I help with pricing, I help with deals, etc. So if you have any questions about that, I am going to drop my email in the description below, as well as a link for this book. This book is a book on midterm rentals. It's called American Nomads. It's by Erin Spradlin, and it's available on Amazon in Kindle or paperback format. That's where you can buy it. It has checklists. It has interviews with other people that have been in the midterm rental space, both as tenants and as landlords. It also has resources and tips and tricks on how to set up your listing. So I think it's a pretty good book. That's all. Let's get into it. Let's talk about
Okay, so for this part, we are going to do a review of the listing, and I assume you already have an account for this.
Okay, so when you click on your dashboard, you'll see Welcome to your dashboard up top, and then you'll see all these tabs, which for the most part, I don't use. There's a My Properties tab if you scroll down on the right side, as well as My Account. I use those occasionally, but usually I do not use this interface that much. I usually navigate from the left side, where you'll see My Profile, Tenant Leads, Messages, Landlord Tools, My Properties being the big one that I use a lot. For this demonstration, we care about the List Your Property up top in the upper right-hand corner. It's highlighted blue. Click on that and we will get started. Okay, so once you're in the List Your Property tab, you will see the option under that fill out the form to list your property, you'll see the option to do an entire place, a private room, a hotel, or an apartment complex. And then it's asking you for additional information like your first and last name, your email. Make this the email that you use the most so that they can get a hold of you, phone number, your state and your city. The city will be a drop down. And then I also want to call attention to, is this a sublet? So it's going to be a sublet if you are re-renting this, if someone else owns the property and you're renting from them and re-renting. So rental arbitrage here. It's not a sublet if you own the property. Okay, and so then when you press continue, you are agreeing to the terms and conditions. Okay, so now it takes you to the next screen. What's interesting in this pink bar is that they're talking about the fact that they never charge booking fees. The average length of stay is 92 days, so 3 months, and that you receive traveler details every time. So call-outs 1 and 3, booking fees and details are different than Airbnb. Airbnb obviously has additional fees, and then also when you book with a traveler, you're trying to figure out your information. You have to go through a lot of steps before you get their contact information. That's not the case with Furnished Finder. When you pay the $99 and someone's interested, you get their contact information right away. And here you can see under the listing period, you have the option of 1 year or 2 years, and also the option to select the verified badge. So I always do 1 year just to see what's going on with the rental. Maybe I want to move it into a long term or a short term, so I only do a year, and I never do the verified badge. Maybe it helps in a big way, but I would think not. I'm not putting in my credit card information here, but you guys should. If you want to have a listing, put in your info and then do order now for $99, and then I will walk you through how to look at the listing and make sure that everything that you've input is correct. Okay, so now that your payment is in and your listing is up, now let's talk about how to edit the listing or check it. So I'm navigating off of the left side under the edit listing, and you can see there it has all the drop-down options. Okay, so I've clicked on contact info, and so it leads me in here. You can see up top what my headline is. Here I'm talking about walk score and when it's available, as well as my information, my email information, my phone information. You can see you can hide your phone number from travelers, but it's not recommended. It also recommends that you allow them to text. And then finally, there's an option to only allow notifications at a certain time, and I recommend doing that from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and not all the time. Okay, now we're in the location tab. You can see this in the upper left-hand corner. And the location, obviously you're gonna put in your details there, or confirm your details there. And then also you'll see here, there's an option for the sublet, again, about halfway down the page. Yes or no, are you subletting? Now we're gonna scroll down just to make sure that it's in the approximate right area for where we think it should be based off of the information that we put in. And below the map, you can see options to put in the closest hospitals. I believe Furnished Finder is going to update this so that it's not just advertising to traveling nurses, but that you're going to be able to put in other cool things that are near the property beyond hospitals, like industries or nightlife that might be near it. But right now they're just offering hospitals. So I do recommend filling this out. You can obviously find this information by putting in your address and then Googling the locations of hospitals or medical facilities that are close to you. When you leave the location tab, you will next be taken to the property details tab. So here you can see here you can see there are options for 1 bedroom and how many people it sleeps, as well as whether or not it's fully furnished, if utilities are included, minimum term. It's asking for a rental license, but if you are in a city, which most cities, all the cities I've come across, you don't need a license if it's 30 plus days. Here we also have unit type, separate unit, private entrance, whether or not there's private bath, a washer dryer. A lot of these details are more relevant if you are renting by the room versus if you are renting out a private unit. Okay, you can see here that I have no on the pets allowed. It's only because my building does not allow me to rent pets in this particular unit. I have monthly rent listed there, and then below you'll see fees. And then below that we have fees. We have the application fee, the cleaning fee, and the deposit. I always match the deposit to whatever the monthly rent is. And then just for clarification, I know we had been talking earlier about how Airbnb has fees baked in, but Furnished Finder doesn't. That is maybe confusing because this is a fees area, but this is one-to-one with a tenant that they can very clearly see, which you can't as clearly see in Airbnb, although they are changing out the toggle for that. But I think that's what they mean by this, is that everything is very transparent to the tenant before they book. Okay, so I tried to move to the next screen, but it wouldn't allow me because it wants to know what type of bed it is, a queen, king, etc., and how many people it sleeps. So I have updated that, and it will let me now move to the next screen. Okay, the next screen includes the amenities. I'm not going to go into detail on this. We'll kind of just scroll down because obviously the amenities for your place might be different than my place, but you can see what amenities I have listed here. So after we scroll down past the basic amenities, we see some accessibility options as far as wheelchair accessibility and disabled parking availability. They want you to describe the public transportation, which is smart. Describe the parking type if you have it. Internet speed, I actually haven't done a test on it, but this would be useful if you have it. And then property description. And you can see here again, I am listing when the property is available. I'm talking about the walk score because these are things that I think people really care about. And then I'm basically outlining everything that I think is desirable in the order of desirability that I think appeals to tenants. So the fact that there's a private balcony, there's laundry on site. I know I've mentioned before calling out medical professionals. So here I'm talking about medical professionals, Denver transplants, etc. Now I'm moving into photos. So you can just obviously upload from your computer. You can see my photos here. And just a note here, you can see which photo is going to be featured on the main page. And the way to do that is to highlight the star in the lower right-hand corner of any photo if you want that to be the main photo that stands out or that is the first photo that they see. I recommend doing something with a bright splash of color or a really good view, something that will be eye-catching. And the next screen we're going to go to is the calendar. So you can update the next available date, in which case for mine, it's April 1st. And that is also repeated in the listing just because I want to reinforce this as much as possible. So you can see available April 1st, and then you can see it in the calendar here as well. The screen after that is notifications. So I only want booking inquiries for my property. Do not send me housing requests for my area. I think this is where people are getting frustrated, is that they're getting a lot of just general housing requests that don't go anywhere. So if you have that section, it might work out better for you. Also, you can see the scheduled notification that I use, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I want match leads only, and I have my phone number listed. I do not put a maximum occupancy on there. I probably should, but I just haven't at this point, and you'll see that toward the bottom. You can see here too that there's an option to pause your notifications. I think you would do this if your property was rented, but then it also should be off the calendar at that point. And then your next screen is going to be your verification status, so it'll tell you if the process is complete and if you have been verified. And also, you can see here the 100% complete on the listing, and you can view your listing if you want, which will take us into part 2. Okay, so let's talk about best practices and tips and tricks for your Furnished Finder listing. Want to call attention to the photo. There's a bright splash of color and a comfortable area to hang out, as well as the headline of when it's available, what the walk score is. There's a focus on safety here. Not that yours necessarily needs to have a focus, but I like the fact that it has a doorman, so I'm just calling attention to that. Going to the top of the screen, you can navigate between property detail, which is the tab we're on, property location, and then the calendar. Okay, and then once you're in your calendar, you can see what's not available. It will have that orange line through it, and then in April, you can see that orange line isn't there anymore because it is available at that time. Okay, the 2 main opportunities we have in this section are listing headline and the property description. So right now we're on the headline. I know I've been really redundant about it, but it's because I think it's important. So I think it's always smart to reinforce when the property will be available, to talk about the walk score if it's a good walk score, and then to talk about really attractive amenities if you have them here. So pool, if you don't have attractive amenities here, just talk about the practical amenities that will really help your tenant coming in, like laundry and stuff. All right, and then in the property description, again, you can see I have when it's available. Then I'm talking about location, and then I'm calling out different groups that I'm interested in having stay there. I'm talking about when it was freshly painted, and I'm also trying to break up the text so that it's easy to read and easy for them to find the details that I really care about and that I think are most attractive with this property. All right, and for our final section, we're going to talk about some resources inside Furnished Finder. To do this, we're just going to do a search in our location for some dates that are coming up, and what we're going to look for are competitive advantages. So here I've put in the entire unit, and I'm putting on pets welcome because I want to see how many allow for pets at this time versus ones that don't allow for pets at this time. So you can see there's 131 that are going to start late February that allow for animals. And I didn't take it off to see what the option was, but you can, and it'll give you an idea of how many people are offering it versus not offering that in your area. If I also want to see what my competition is doing budget-wise, I can scroll down and look at the budget and see how many properties are available at certain price points. Okay, and if you go into general resources and you scroll all the way down, you will see an option for travel nurse demand and travel nurse stipend calculator. Okay, so now we're in there. We're going to put in our city of choice. Okay, and then here it gives us all the results, total units, total rooms, private units, hotels. I think that's fantastic. But what I also like is that you can see Colorado Springs, Manitou, USAFA, which is kind of a subset of Colorado Springs. And then if I were to click into Manitou Springs, it would also show me the cities around there. What's nice here too is that we have whole place pricing in Colorado Springs. So we can see over 42% is worth more than, I want to say $2,500. It is $2,500. And then for private rooms, over 50% or 1,000 or less than 1,000 per month. So it gives you just some general numbers about how much things are going to cost. Similar to what we were trying to do earlier where we were allowing for pets and taking it off to see the numbers, this is just a good roundup. It says, you know, for whole places, I think that's 46%. Why can't I read? Allow for pets, you know, in the rooms that drops down, and then same thing with utilities included and in-unit laundry. We have Wi-Fi, private bathroom, demographics. The demographics will help you decide what kind of property you should buy depending on what area you're in and who is coming in. So singles, couples, or 3+ travelers. Just like I've said in the past, I don't think there's a ton of demand for 3 or more people in a property. Okay, that's it. I hope that this video proved to be useful, and I'll have future videos covering this topic, I'm sure. Thank you, and have a great week.